karibu sana. Today is Wednesday. Wednesday inakuwa siku ya clinic. We have the financial clinic. Kabenchi nimeweka nje. Nimekapanguza kwa kasafi. So mkae mmoja mmoja pole pole msisukumane with all your questions so that we can get to talk about your finances. Today we have a very interesting topic. And we are asking, love and business, do they mix? You know, this is the week of Valentine, yeah? So we are looking at married couples. Is it possible for them to work together, do a business together and thrive? Yeah, that's what we are going to be looking at shortly. My guests are already in the studio. I'll be introducing them to you in the next short while. Right now, we want to take a look at the Magazeti and find out what's making headlines today. And Gazeti ya leo iko na kilo. This is one of those gazetes. Back in the day, you know, one of the jobs we hated to do was kuwasha jiko. You know, when your mom told you kuwasha jiko, you would feel like you're just about to be crucified. You'll feel like Jesus carrying the cross going to the mountain to be crucified. But when you are given a gazette that is this heavy, you would enjoy, because you would washa the jiko and washa other things that we will not talk about today, because we're in a Christian station and I need to protect my reputation. The paper today, moving tribute with full military honors, prayers, songs, and speeches. 6 presidents, the church, friends, and dignitaries, thousands of Kenyans paid their final respects to the former President Daniel Arap Moi at a colorful state funeral in Nairobi ahead of his burial in Kabarak, Nakuru County today. Wonderful picture on the front page of the Daily Nation. The papers today are really about a tribute to the late former president. Military stages spectacular parade in the city as thousands show up for historic funeral. What different leaders had to say. Moi wasn't perfect, but he left positive mark, says mourners. Basically, different individuals sharing their experiences, family talking about the side of former president that many of us may not know, talking about him as a father and a grandfather. So quite some insight in today's paper. You need to take a look at it and get more information about the late retired President Daniel Arap Moi. There's also a pullout, a special pullout. A man for all seasons, Daniel Arap Moi, humble herdsboy who overcame all odds to become president of the Republic of Kenya and commander-in-chief of its armed forces. It's full of pictures from back in the day, black and white pictures. I can see one here. This one I have to show you. I have to show you this one so that my father will know he raised me up well. This is a picture of former president who was the guest of honor at a football tournament bringing together major clubs in Eastern Central Africa, presenting the winner trophy to AFC Leopards captain JJ Masiga. And looking on is Kenneth Matiba, the then Minister of Culture and Social Services. The tournament was held at Nyayo Stadium in Nairobi. So if you want to get some history about President Moi, some pictures to go with it, take a look at this pullout. Behind the tough demeanor, Moi had a gentle soul. He boosted education to ensure that even the poorest of the poor could raise in society. Those who interacted with him closely say he was very generous. I think one of the things that we can all agree is that when it came to schools, Moi alijenga shule. What? Yeah? I know we used to complain he's naming every school after himself, but those schools are still intact today, and a lot of people are still benefiting from those schools. So, I mean, I think that is something all of us can agree on, and I think there's an article in here talking about how he loved girls and he set up lots of schools to make sure that girls are educated. I think one of the other things some of us may remember Moi for, this picture, I don't know if Jeff, my cameraman, can get a hold of it. It is when the President Moi back then set on fire 12 tons of ivory tusks. This is in 1989 at Nairobi National Park, and it was a significant gesture in the war against, inaitwaga aje? When people kill wild animals? What is it called? Poaching. Yes, poaching. Poaching. I can see, you know, I keep saying I'm hearing voices. Usually it's the voice of Davis, and right now he's threatening me and saying, don't say my name on air. He's the one who's told me it's called poaching. So Davis, kudos to you. I've made you famous today. Looking at the back pages of the Daily Nation newspaper, there's quite a bit on sports as well. Fight for control of Kenyan Premier League continues today with 2 matches. My friend, I can't read the whole newspaper for you because I have a very interesting discussion I want to get into in the next short while. Grab a copy, keep yourself informed on what's happening both locally and also internationally. And I know today's newspapers will have a lot of information, especially if you want to know more about the late retired President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Well, it's Wednesday. Wednesday is Nisikuya Clinic, financial clinic, where we talk about your money. Let me remind you that every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we bring you interesting conversations, and our key focus is family issues. So Monday, we have what we call Motivation Monday. Tuesday, we have what we call Parenting Tuesday. Yesterday, we were talking about love and discipline. Today, Wednesday, we have the financial clinic. Tomorrow, we'll be having the relationship clinic ni marambili kwa wiki. And then Friday is Lifestyle Friday. So today, we are going to be looking at love and business. Can they mix? Can love and business mix? Well, share your experience, husband and wife, if you tried working together. I have my own experiences. Maybe if I get the courage, I will share them with you in the next short while. In studio with me today, lovely couple, Alex and Vera Mongai. How are you guys doing?
We're good. Fabulous.
Karibuni studio.
Thank you.
Yes. We want to hear your story. We love stories on this show because stories inspire and stories build up. Is it possible, love and business, to mix?
Yeah, with a bit of work.
Yeah. Work on which part? The business part or the love part, or both?
Both of them need some work.
Uh-huh.
You need to, first of all, you need to be aware that's a plan you're going to do.
Okay.
Then you then start having quite a bit of a conversation around how that could look like.
Okay.
So it should not be a surprise that I lost my job, so I've joined you in yours, or now let's quit and do this thing.
Yeah.
There must really be a plan towards it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us a bit about Moran Capital. I like the name. What are you guys all about?
So we are an advisory services business into wealth management. So we advise guys on how to manage their wealth,
Yes.
and also how to grow it. Because those are two different spheres. You can be given wealth or you can make wealth. That's one space. So you have money that comes to you, but then how do you grow it? That's the other thing. In a fairly changing environment. So information is coming fast. So markets are changing. So 1 minute we are all in real estate, then next minute what do? Technology is changing.
Yes.
So what do you do? Where is the opportunity? Every change creates an opportunity, and every change creates a fall.
Yeah.
So how do you protect yourself against the fall, and how do you take advantage of the new opportunity? So that's what we spend a lot of time investigating, researching, checking the governance on it. So Vera is our governance expert. She's an actuary. She's trained as an actuary. So she's very focused on just checking the nitty-gritties of our business.
The details.
The
Details.
risk management aspect.
Okay. That's good. How long has Moran Capital been around?
8 years, since 2012.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's when we started.
Okay.
So it's half the time we've been married.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
So
nice.
we determined that we'd want to not only build our future, but build other people's futures as well in a solid fashion. Reporting to the 9 to 5 is a great thing.
Yeah.
But then you realize it's like paying rent. The day you're done, you could leave.
Why are you busting my bubble?
So, no. It's a great space. Everything. If you're very clear, that's what you want to do. That's what you have to do. But if I look at why I decided to start this, was to create something that is a multi-generational space. That I can teach my kids that well after they're done paying their homage to creating value in other people's businesses. One day you have something of yours to come home to. So that was an important aspect. And for me as a leader of the family, because I'm the priest of the home, I carry the vision.
Yes.
So I was very clear that, I want to create something that is futuristic and that will be there for a while. I want something that my kids can also be proud of.
Yeah.
I see so many businesses and I think, okay, when will we create our own 100-year reference?
Yeah.
Guys will say, my great-grandfather started this business.
That's a very interesting thought, because sometimes when I watch some of these business shows from the States or from Britain, I hear a lot of that. My great-grandfather migrated to America and he started, and now it's a multi-billion business.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, what's wrong with us?
We're still a young nation, I think. So maybe it's just a matter of time, and we'll also have that rich history. I mean, they've been doing this. When you hear about their history, they've been there for 300 years, 400 years. So there's really a lot of generational wealth that has been built up over time.
Okay.
But for us, when you look at, when we talk about our history, we can trace back until when? Like the 19th century, whereas they're talking about the 14th, century, 13th century. So I think it's just a matter of time.
I'm just wondering, by the time he was taking you out for coffee and telling you all these things before you got married, did this conversation happen that maybe in the future I would want us to be in business together?
No.
Oh.
That did not happen.
That did not happen?
No.
Okay. So when did this conversation happen?
Of working together, when
Yeah.
did we have that conversation? Because I think it was later into our marriage when we started, building our vision and the things that we wanted to do. In that whole aspect, we started talking about, okay, what are the plans that we have in terms of uplifting ourselves economically? So I remember at some point we actually started a farm where we were actually having some chicken and other different things together. But that was I think 5 years into our marriage.
Yes.
And that was, okay, we still had our other jobs, our day jobs, employed and all, but this was just something that we were doing just to, increase the income that's coming into the family.
Okay.
So when we had that conversation and when we started that business, that was quite a test on our marriage, honestly.
Ooh, those are the stories you want to hear.
That was quite a test on our marriage. And I think we did the business for what, about 2-3 years?
About 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
And we closed the business and we closed that chapter of our lives. And we knew, you know what, we've done it, tried it, and maybe we're not yet ready for actually doing business together. You know what, let everyone concentrate on their day job.
What were some of the challenges that arose that caused you guys to say, you know what, let's just shut this thing down?
I think just the lack of expertise, first and foremost, in,
Okay.
in agriculture. So it was something that we were doing because, yes, we wanted an extra income, but we really didn't have the expertise. So the challenges of the business in terms of the expertise really did become a strain in our marriage where, now it becomes more of like a blame game, like, okay, fine, should we have research? And yes, yet we did our research, yet we did, do our best.
Yes.
But it became a bit of, it would bring in some very difficult conversations. But even in addition to that, so that's, we basically, just packed it and thought, you know what, maybe this is not for us at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Was it a hard decision to make?
Yes, it was very tough initially.
Okay.
Remember, we sunk in quite a bit of capital. I mean, our savings maybe, for some a lot, for some nothing, but we sunk about 8 million shillings into that business because we created a very, we always about quality.
Yes.
So we went into the process of doing a very quality business. We automated the business. We supplied some of the top line, businesses in the market. So, we went all nice and, very, very deep into research.
Yes.
So when you have to unwind that position, it's not done with a lot of joy. But the reality hit us that we were way out of our depth in terms of our capacity to see us through the tough time. We did not have a reserve, so we were paddling on everything that we had. So we ran out of steam completely. So even if you are asked to continue, there's no way you are going to continue. You know, you had run out of steam.
Yes.
Luckily, we were using our savings and you know, not borrowing. We, you know, when you want to start a business and you are not very skilled in it, you might want to use your own resources.
Okay.
Because definitely, had we borrowed, we would have been in a good mess. So it was hard to do it because we were so passionate in terms of winding it up, but it was easy to exit because we didn't have anybody we owed anything. So we could, you know, just wrap it up in one day and say, you know, come and buy. We walk away before this becomes a bigger mess.
Okay.
As a man, it was definitely a mark of failure on my part, and I had to, you know, accept at that point that maybe I had not thought this very well.
Shocked. Me, I get you, man. I feel you. Yes.
I mean, I walked into this, the one who was encouraging her, we're going to succeed. And maybe I was doing it out of the sheer need to make sure we've got something you know, to go to and something to be successful about. But the whole, you know, business idea, we didn't think too much about it in terms of what if the conditions change. So one, obviously, we had thought of the production and those kind of things. We didn't think about the law. You know, tax rules can change. You know, what happens? Where do you go crying when inputs costs change? That shocked us because that's actually what took us out of business.
Okay.
So while I say I felt bad, you know, I could really say that's a space we didn't think about, but who do you have to blame? It's you took the decision, so you have to bite the bullet.
Okay.
So that was painful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a couple doing business together? Are there challenges that you are facing, maybe questions you would want to ask? I want to rope you into this conversation. Or maybe you are a couple thinking of getting into business together. I have a wonderful couple in studio. They've walked the talk. They're not just giving us theories they Googled, no. They've lost some huge amounts of money, they've learned lessons, and they're back on their feet. I love the fact that that didn't work and you guys didn't give up. You know, you re-strategized, and here you are today. For me, that is just, I think, a story that a lot of people need to hear, because sometimes we try something once, especially if you've put in that amount of money, when it doesn't come through, some people commit suicide. Some people just walk away from home. Alienda kazini miaka 6 iliyopita na hajawahi rudi. Lunch yake bado iko kwa fridge 6 years later. So I'm inviting you, ask your questions, 20316, WhatsApp number 0786316316. Remember, it is the Financial Clinic. Today we are looking at love and business. Is it possible for married couples to do business together? If the answer is yes, what are some things you need to know? And the words of Jesus, he said, what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? That's something we always need to remember, even as we talk about money and talk about finances and everything. There's always a purpose to it. It's not just about self. I love that song, Toby Mac, playing on Family TV and Family Radio 316. This morning, it is all about couples and business, married couples doing business together. Is it possible? What are some things you need to know? Inviting your questions on 20316 for SMS, WhatsApp 0786316316. In studio with me, Alex and Vera Mungai. We have set up a business called Moran Capital. They are giving us their story and also answering your questions and giving us tips we need to know. As couples, if you're thinking of going into business together, some things you need to be aware of. I have a question here. Well, this is one of those questions that keeps coming over and over again when we talk about business and investment. What kind of business, please advise me on what kind of business I can set up with my husband, a long-term business. I know it's an open question. We can go in so many ways, but what is the thing that comes top to mind when you hear a question like that?
Well, everything is centered around resources. Either the resource is you've seen the opportunity, and it's something that within your ability you can supply. So opportunity is very important.
Okay.
In terms of, is there a gap in the market that you can supply? but then also look at the resource of your own abilities. Because it's one thing to say, I've seen there's a gap in oil and gas or a gap in something technology, but then you don't have the resources. So then you first identify what resources you have, and then what resources you will need, and whether you know how to bring them together, or you can find somebody who will bring them together. So also just looking at what falls within your character. There are some businesses which, you know, you will not be happy to do. Maybe you look at a business, it's got potential, but is it really the kind of business I want to be found doing anyway? For me, we definitely are Christians. So there are some businesses which we have to walk away for ethical reasons. But some other people have a different opinion. I can separate my business from who I am personally, because that's a choice of the other people to consume whatever we produce. It's not necessarily, but there's a thin line there. But it's all about resources. What do we have? Where is the gap? Is it sustainable? Initially, you want to start a business, but then you ask yourself, how long can this go on?
Yes.
A lot of the times, when we analyze businesses, we analyze businesses for sustainability. Just how long will this thing be there? Because if I'm going to pour all my resources into it, and then in 3 years, opportunity has gone, and then we poured everything in, it's not advisable. So you're looking for an opportunity where you have the resources, you have of knowledge, the financial resources, and if you don't, you can consult.
Yes.
There's people, if you walk into a bank, you'll see there are guys called business financial consultant. If you walk into a bank, tell them, I want to start this business. Can you tell me what I need to know about it? Yeah.
Okay.
And also about passion, because when you're starting the business, you need to find what is that you're trying to solve, or what would you like to do. Okay. So I think it also goes in line with what are they passionate about? Okay, yes, they want to do something in the long term. What have they identified that maybe they can do together and they're both passionate about, or maybe one person is passionate about it and the other one can provide a supporting role? Because like when we were setting up now Moran Capital, for us, we were passionate about doing financial services in an ethical, nice way, but with more of having the client in mind on how do we grow our clients' wealth. How do we make sure that whatever advice that we're giving or whatever investments that we're choosing are actually, well thought out, at least we give all the information, well researched and everything, so that we can make sure that they are, our clients are able to grow. So for us it was financial services that we were passionate about. So I would ask the couple, can they find something that they're passionate about, and maybe they can do that as a business together.
Okay, let's talk about strengths. Because like now for you two working together, who does what? Nani ndio mdosio mwingine?
Alex is a boss.
Boss is a glorified name. I remember one time some disciplined forces walked into our office, and they didn't say what they were looking for. No. They just said they're looking for the boss, and that's when everybody gets clear who is the boss here.
Who can answer?
Yeah, who needs to be picked up by the authorities. Yes. But so it's about leadership. I think the question is leadership, and who's ready to put out, in terms of character, the energy to go searching for, in the dark as such. Because leadership is a fairly overly glorified position. I am the leader. I don't have a question about that. It means sometimes I'm flying blind, and everybody behind me believes that I know what I'm doing. Yes. But it also has a great responsibility on me to do research. I'm not just, when I say flying blind, it doesn't mean I do things without thinking. It means that I may not be having somebody advising me so much at the front, but I have various voices talking to me. I have books I read. I have people I watch, powerful people, experienced people. So I'm also not just messing around. I'm also doing a lot of research to make sure that whatever I'm doing has some thought to it. But certainly, I have to give direction. My team then has to rally around the direction I'm giving. And I have to have people with the strength to move on far beyond the excitement when I thought about the idea. And that's what Vera does. You know, Vera is driving beyond my excitement of where I want to be in the future. She's making sure the steps are, you know, we are not changing every now and then. We set course and we stick to it. So I am the leader.
So Alex does more of the vision.
Yes.
He's more visionary. He's more chatty.
He sees big picture.
He sees a big picture, you know. So this is where we're looking to go. And the other thing about him is that he's more chatty. So he tends to have very good rapport when it comes to clients and all that, even on the marketing aspect. So he's more out there. So that really helps in terms of now that being his strength. On the other part, I don't know, Alex, what, I think I'm more the how in terms of, you know, more of the detail, the process, making sure that we follow through.
Putting feet to the vision.
Yes, the things that we said that we're going to do, making sure that they're delivered on a daily basis. The quality controls and all those other aspects, the hiring, so more of the operations of the business. So he's the bigger picture and I'm the how.
I think then it takes some form of humility, you know, for you to allow your wife to function, because the tendency would be, are you trying to tell me what to do? You know, because the details. Sometimes as men, we see big picture because we are the priest of the home, the leader, we see details. And sometimes, I mean, we see the big picture, and sometimes in that we miss out on the details. And sometimes when your spouse reminds you or points out details, you know, you said we will do this, but where are we now? How will we get there? You feel like they are nagging. That's why I'm saying it must take then some form of humility for you to embrace your wife working out the details.
She has to equip me to listen to her. Remember, Vera is a skilled person. She's not some random. She's not some random person who decided to join my business and is now giving me ideas and criticizing my ideas. I'm a professional, trained professional, and so are you. So the last thing you want is somebody with a matter of opinion giving you ideas. You want somebody who has a matter of fact. So Vera is factual. My wife is very factual. So if we are having a discussion, she has her facts, they are tabled. We have a very corporate approach to things in the office. So we have a meeting, we discuss how it will be done. So I'm not arguing with her from a matter of opinion, I'm the head of this. No. I am a professional, she's a professional. She had years of being successful in her own business. So I don't start saying, this is my wife, anatokea wapi. This is a lady who's been trained, major investment into her schooling. She's respected in the industry. She's a top stockbroker, investment banker. So I might as well want to listen to her.
Husbands, unasikia vile una describe wife yako hadharani. Si kumuita tu mama boy.
No, I respect her.
That's wonderful.
You see, and the beauty about business is that by having those opportunities where you can have meetings, you're able to at least now bring out those facts or have those discussions so that at least now you can see, okay, fine, this is what we said, this was our vision. So how do we make sure that we're able to take the necessary steps to achieve that vision? What are we doing on a daily basis? What are we doing on a weekly basis? What is the, what is this strategy that we're trying to implement? So it really does help at least now to make sure that we have that, the meetings set up to be able to have those sort of discussions to follow through.
How do you differentiate between the corporate and the family at home? Because it's the same two people. Usilete udosi kwa nyumba. You know that kind of thing, Na msilete dome za home job, so that when you come to work, your employees can look and say, walikosana jana. How do you balance that?
Wow. Okay, so first, after 5, and this is work in progress for many years, we try and be very deliberate that after 5 o'clock or after hours, let's not talk about business. Let's be now husband
Husband and
and wife. It's more now children. And it does help because, like, after we finish work, we normally pick the children.
Okay.
And once now you pick the children, they start engaging you on, how was their day and what's going on. I want this. So it helps you now gradually, like, shift gear to now the parenting role. And by the time you're getting home, now there's the husbandly and wifely duties. By the time you're meeting whoever who's at home and they
Yeah.
need this
Yeah.
done. So it does transition, but it has to be deliberate. It's not very easy. And I guess the same thing vice versa, when there are challenges at home, also being now deliberate, like, you know what, let's pack this. We'll discuss it later when we get home, or we'll discuss it maybe during lunch hour, or another time, not during, when we're having a client meeting and all that. So we try and just be deliberate about it. It's, as I said, it's a work in progress because sometimes you'll feel the urge to bring up something, but we've tried over the years to be very intentional about just separating the two.
Okay.
Yeah, working hours and after hours.
after hours.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
First of all,
Yes,
it
I can
is
imagine.
not easy. Okay, so my wife is in the house, and those who've done any psychology, you know the lady's mind is all connected.
Yes.
So there I am, maybe I'm in the house, I'm trying to, tell her, hey, hii jioni iko namna gani?
Yes.
Then she reminds me, by the way, there was this issue you have not completed in the office. I have to remind her that look at these four walls.
Yes.
What about it says corporate?
Yes.
Okay, so I also have to be aware
Yeah.
that I have to remind her, and she has to remind me that corporate was corporate.
Yeah.
Okay, here we've forgotten that story.
Okay.
But it's also discipline. It is really a major discipline, but it's not a precise science
Okay.
because what we do we are passionate about.
Yeah.
So hata pillow talk saa ingine unasikia that situation is disturbing me. It will come up. And you can imagine, unlike most couples who you come home and you say, how was your day?
Yeah.
Really, like if she asks me that question, you're thinking. So
You're part of it.
yeah, like I think you know.
Yes.
So what happens is we have to be deliberate also about creating our spaces even in the office. So much as we work together,
Yeah.
you might find that the whole day, other than being in the same environment, we have not met really. So we have clear roles of who is doing what. My
Okay.
job is I'm the chief sales officer in the office.
Yeah.
So if I'm seen hanging around the office too much, you will go hungry
Yes.
in this place.
Yes.
So, and then if she's not featuring in the office, regulators will come after us.
Yeah.
Things are not being done, submitted, and these kind of things. So we don't necessarily spend all day together.
Yeah.
So there is an opportunity there for us, because somebody might say, then these guys, their lives are boring if they're,
Yes, yes.
24 hours. But really, it's not boring because, quite frankly, she's just like any other member of staff that we have, but at least this one is my wife. So if I make some jokes, I will not be seeing the lawyers coming in suggesting I said something funny to my employee. So I'm happy that way, that I don't have such challenges. But even in the office, I have to draw that line. The comments have to be fairly sanitized.
It reminded me, a friend of mine once put up a post on Facebook. And she said, guys, I need to make a confession. I'm sleeping with my pastor and I'm sleeping with my boss. And the comments started flying in. Then she said, hey, my husband is my pastor and he's also my boss. Yeah. But there's something you've said which I think is very critical and very important, because at the office you treat each other as professionals. She's her professional in her own right, you're professional in your own right, you understand your roles where the business is concerned. Because sometimes one of the things I see is, as the husband, you have a business and your wife comes on to help with the business, but she's just that. She has no definite role. Even she doesn't really have a pay. She has more of an allowance because we are one. We are one. And sometimes I see this in ministry a lot, where because we are one, she really doesn't need to be paid. She's helping. But if you remove her from the ministry or from the business, there's a gap because she is doing a lot. How do you tackle that? What would you tell somebody who's doing it that way?
So For one, everybody's value must be entrenched in a number we can see, and it must grow. So I tell people the reason why you don't achieve your goals is you don't sometimes put a number to the goal.
Okay.
Like if I want to buy a house, it must have a cash value.
Yeah.
So in the same way, if I come to your office and I put in my time, I must have a cash value.
Yeah.
And even though the business is not generating enough now, we should provide that you should be paid X. It's not being paid now, but we accrue that value until the day we have profit.
Wow.
So that you don't start looking at me like Kinyangarika in the office.
yes,
You must
yes.
see my value, right?
Yeah.
So we have a definite number, right, for salary. In the event that you are not able to pay for it, you accrue it as a liability. You write it as an investment that she made into the business, so that you don't wake up one day
Yes.
and say that, what have you brought into this business? No, no, no. From day one, we are very clear. This is what she puts in every single day, month, year, and that value is carried on. Meanwhile, she's our finance director. So for me, I more see money because she approves. A lot of people would disapprove of that.
Yes.
But, there's a saying in my backyard that those guys who are served for, you never know when the food is getting finished. Right? Why don't you put the person who's always asking me about how much food is there
Yes.
to be the one
To be the one
serving?
serving,
Yes.
yeah.
So she's always there to remind me, by the way, this is where we are.
Yeah.
It removes a lot of conflict.
Okay.
So one, I respect her, she respects me, we accrue our value, and then if, assuming there was no money, it would be a liability which, can be written off tax or something like this. Yeah.
Wow.
And even for that particular person who's just coming, the wife who's coming to the business and is just helping to do a few things here and there,
Yeah.
define what are these few things here and there that she's doing. Is it she takes what? Is it an operational role in terms of maybe she does some accounting work, or she makes sure that all the things, she's HR, maybe she's the one who hires. So what exactly, because there's always those standard things that people tend to do in business. It's not, it's very, very common. I mean, they're all there in most businesses. So just define what exactly is it that she's doing so that she knows that this is her role, and she takes ownership of it, so that it's not just a loose arrangement, but at least, there's something more structured about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that the person also knows that this is my contribution. I'm the one who does HR and operations. I make sure that, bills get paid, and, just what is it that the person is doing. Or I normally place the orders. Maybe I do procurement or something,
Okay, I'm beginning to hear voices in my head,
Yeah.
and it's not the Holy Spirit.
All right.
It's my producer David shouting and telling me I'm almost out of time. What would you tell that? Davis, I'm trying to do a show here. What would you tell that wife who is getting into business with her husband if you are told, give them a tip or two from your experience, what you have learned? What would you tell them?
I would say proceed with caution.
Okay.
That would be my, I think it's a good thing that
Yes.
the thoughts are there,
Yeah.
but proceed with caution. Because as we mentioned earlier, we've done business before.
Yes.
And the fact that that business had challenges, it also put a great strain in our marriage. And at that point, it was so challenging that really it is by God's grace that we were actually able to see it through, and our marriage survived.
Yes.
So it's not, one needs to be aware that there can be some good times, but there can be some very serious challenges. So what one wants to make sure is that, is your relationship at the point where even if there were challenges, God willing, you can be able to rise up and be able to see how do we resolve this, and how do we make sure that it's not personal, in the sense that sometimes, like when there are challenges in the business, you'll start making personal attacks at one another, shifting blame at one another, which really does draw down the marriage and really take a toll on the marriage.
Okay.
So really, I think there's some maturity that needs to happen in the relationship first,
Yes.
before you proceed on to go and do business together, because otherwise the business can actually bring down that marriage. So for me, I'd say proceed with caution, so that at least you're aware how. First, do a sense check of how is our relationship.
Yes.
And even talk about it. If really, okay, fine, this business did not work, is our marriage greater than the business? Such that at least even if this business did not work, God forbid, we are hopeful. I mean, you know.
You as
that
a
we-
wife,
yes.
we have spoken of it.
Amen.
Yes.
So where are we at? As in, is our marriage still greater than this particular, than the business, such that we can still go get jobs if we had to or anything, but at least our business, our marriage will survive. And I think, yeah, so I would say proceed with caution. It's not, there's a lot of things to think through, but I think it's a good thing that even that thought, because I mean, family businesses are really have got a lot of potential to do very, very well. And I think it also grows you. That side of doing business together actually grows you to another level of your relationship, even on the marriage side. So, but you need to first make sure that are we solid enough?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful discussion from a lovely couple. Thank you so much for bringing them to studio. Tunashukuru sana. Well, I'm out of time. But this one thing I know, we will have you back in studio again because you have so much wealth of information. And every Wednesday we try and bring in people who will help us where our finances are concerned. You know, we are tired of Christians quoting and waiting for the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. And we still can't afford to pay our school fees, and we leave our children with nothing when we pass on. That's not the way it's supposed to be. And when we have couples like you who are professionals in what you're doing, then I think it's important to have conversations with you. One thing I've learned from you today, my friend, is you treat your wife as a professional, and man, that is just amazing. A lot of people don't do that. You know, you respect her and what she's qualified to do, and at home, you switch the thing. She's a loving wife. That's what a lot of people need to hear. Yes. Aya, wakati wangu unkwisha. I need to run to the radio studio. The show continues on radio all the way until 10. Tomorrow, it is a relationship clinic. And tomorrow we'll be looking at how to rekindle love. Mmezoeana. You've come to that place where you're just Baba Boy and Mama Boy. There's nothing much happening in the marriage anymore. So tomorrow, as we get towards Valentine, I know Valentine's, there's all these things, but we're looking at the long term. How do you sustain that love and that romantic feeling in the marriage so that you're not looking at your neighbor's wife? God said don't do that. So that's what we're going to be looking at tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Your feedback is most welcome as usual. 20316 SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316.